In an era where knowledge can bring so much joy to the world, where knowledge can be earned from the tip of your fingertips, Pustaka Negeri Sarawak aims to provide that necessity to the people of the far and near, with facilities that is equipped with the up-to-date technology. Research and studies would be a breeze. Understanding the needs of the many, where knowledge seeking is crucial for the growth of the mind. We made it our ultimate goal to serve you the best knowledge center available. Outside our walls, we go and reach out to users and potential users in hard-to-reach areas. We'd go over and beyond by traveling to the suburbs to spread knowledge. To enlighten them through several knowledge activities via Pustaka's knowledge resources in our collection. Our responsibility to share latest technology and information. This way, we can ensure that the passion to seek knowledge never fades. It is our utmost mission to cater for and exceed the expected information needs of our users. For such noble cause, we study the profiles of our varied users to undermine their information requirements, get the needed information resources in whatever available formats, printed, non-print or online, and match them with the requirements. We take the extra miles of informing users about our rich information resources and tell them step by step how to identify, select, retrieve, and use these resources. We want our users to be literate in information and knowledge. We want them to be our knowledge beneficiaries. As our priority to preserve the knowledge and Sarawak heritage collections, we are committed to provide the user with access for those special and unique collections at Sarawak. With the facilities for storage and repositories, we ensure all the collections and public records which are more than 25 years old, and other documents, papers, instruments, statutes and statutory order, regulations or decrees directed by State Secretary to be maintained, preserved and kept in the State Depository on account of their historical value or public importance. We are eager to expand by preserving the collections through legal deposits, donation, bequeath, oral history, and also transfer of public records for permanent preservation, regardless of its format and media. By creating standard bibliographic records, we will ensure the library resources or materials published in Sarawak can be accessed and will be preserved for future generations. We are going beyond boundaries in order to guide, advise and train all Sarawak government agencies with focus on the implementation of records and archives, management practices and standards thoroughly for Sarawak civil service. Researchers can use our facilities to do research on specific materials, whereby assistance is always available.
Having been here almost 20 over years as a user of Pustaka, it has been a very encouraging experience. Looking at the staff, how they operate this place, and for the past 20 years, this place is still in a very good shape, and it's even better now. So this is something that is very encouraging for us as users.
I think the best thing is that the library actually somehow in a small way that changed my life. First of all, I think the best is that I don't have to buy so many books. And then you don't have to search so far away, but you already can find it in the library. It makes my life easier. You can see, maybe you say reader is very confined to this, maybe very introvert, but actually the books make you more extrovert, meaning that you can actually connect with people better. Thank you very much, Pustaka Negeri Sarawak.
Welcome to the Sarawak State Library, one of the most unique libraries in the world that is surrounded by a park. Whether you are in need of learning materials, reference material, conducive learning environment, the free Wi-Fi, a recreational place for you and your family, or if you're a fitness junkie and looking for a place to jog or work out, the Sarawak State Library got that covered for you.
Hi, my name is Charlie. Let me introduce you to the Sarawak State Library. Other than the Sarawak State Library in Kuching, we have other branch which includes the Sarawak State Library Miri branch and the State Record Repository. The State Library houses a variety of collection which includes the main collection, the reference, the special collections, and electronic collections. The main collections include topics ranging from philosophy, religion, social sciences, languages, pure science, technology, art, literature, and history.
We do have non-fictional collection to suit your leisure reading. Did I mention that we have newspaper that we update daily and are available in the newspaper room? No, we have that too. The reference material range from dictionaries, manuals, handbooks, encyclopedias, and atlases. The reference material can be identified from the red label at the spine of the book. These materials are only to be used in the library and not to be borrowed. Photostating is allowed. Simply purchase the photocopy card at the circulation counter level 1. The special collection consists of the Malaysiana collections and Sarakiana collections. To complete these, we have the collections suits our junior reader. Now, these collections are available for the younger user at the Children Infotech, which is the ground floor of the library. Aside from that, we have computers available for you at the same floor in the Multimedia Gallery MMG. To use the computer, make sure that you have registered as a member of the library. Then, just fill in the logbook at the registration counter, and that is about it. Other than the mentioned material, other material is accessible online. For the convenience of our user, we provide online services as well.
I'm talking about the Online Public Access Catalog OPAC. All our collections are registered in the OPAC, whereby it can be accessed anytime, anywhere. With that being said, by simply looking up www.librarynet.com.my, user get to check the availability of the books that they are interested in online.
OPAC also allow user to locate the materials that they want by obtaining the call number of the book. Call number can be seen at the spine of the book.
In other words, you can browse our OPAC and locate the material that you want and reserve it if the status is checked out at the comfort of your home. How convenient is that?
In the case that the book is available in other library, loaning book is made possible with the interlibrary loan, whereby user could loan books from other library with just a fee of 2 ringgit. What's more, book loan is available for institution or agency that have registered with the library. This institution can loan up to 50 to 200 books without fee. Aside that, we have vast online database collection exclusively for our member. Our online databases includes journal, magazine, newspaper, and books. To enjoy the unlimited pass, simply log in using the username and password that you have created during registration. Other than browsing the OPAC for books and accessing the online database, you could also do an online renewal and request for books too. Wi-Fi is available for our user at the library compound. To connect to the Wi-Fi, select LibraryNet from the list of Wi-Fi available, and a pop-up will appear asking for the username and password that you have created during registration. Fill that in and you have the access.
Now all these are accessible to our member for free. You heard that right, for free.
To register, simply provide the librarian at the registration counter on the ground floor with your identification card or passport. The librarian will guide you to fill in a short online form. Activation will be done immediately after you press the submit button. Just remember to approach the librarian for your membership activation. Renewal of membership done yearly.
Like the registration, the renewal of membership is also free. Having the habit of misplacing things? Afraid not, we do not provide our user with membership card. However, to access all the services and for future transaction, you will only need to show our librarian your IC.
Our membership are open to the public starting from kids age 4. In addition, you have registered and have forgotten your username or password. Approach a friendly librarian and they will surely lend you a hand.
Now on to the do's and don'ts in the library. While we are striving to provide you with the best services, please adhere to the followings. No food and flavored drinks allowed in the library. No smoking at the library. Keep your volume to minimum when you are in the library. Remember to leave books that have been taken out from the shelf at the trolley provided or the counter. Do not leave your personal belongings unattended. The library is not a playground, therefore books are not toys. For this and more information on the Sarawak State Library, head to our website www.pustaka-sarawak.com. Feel free to give us a call at 082-442-000 or drop us an email to librarian@sarawak.gov.my. Stay tuned for all events or activity hosted by the library, or for any updates and announcement, follow us on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Well, that is all from me. See you at the library.
boys and girls, Pustaka Negeri Sarawak proudly present to you our Book Bear service.
Literasi Digital, titled Teaching Smarter with AI, Practical Tools, and Ethical Use. This session is part of Media and Information Literacy Week 2025, proudly organized by Pustaka Negeri Sarawak. I am Arina from Lifelong Learning and Literacy Division, Lifelong Learning and Information Literacy Division, and I will be your moderator for this session. So before we begin, just a quick sound check. So can everyone hear me clearly?
Yes, boleh.
Boleh, okay. So thank you now. Today's topic is one of that's becoming more and more relevant for all of us, especially those in education, libraries, and community learning. So AI, or artificial intelligence, is no longer just a buzzword. It's changing how we teach, learn, and create. And from lesson planning to marking essays, like for lecturers, from designing visuals to generating ideas, AI tools are becoming more powerful partners in the classroom. And through this session, we will explore not only how we can use these tools like ChatGPT, Canva, or Quillbot to teach smarter, but also how to use them responsibly and ethically to promote creativity, critical thinking, and academic integrity. So if you have any questions while listening to our speaker, please drop them in the Q&A panel or chat box anytime, and we will pick them up after the presentation. So now it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for this afternoon, Professor Dr. Johari Abdullah, Senior Lecturer at the Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology, UNIMAS. Professor Johari has been deeply involved in the study and application of AI, and he's passionate about helping educators understand how technology can transform teaching and learning. So without further ado, let's welcome Prof. Dr. Johari to begin his session. Over to you, Prof.
All right. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good afternoon. Thank you very much, MC Arina, for the introduction, and good afternoon to everybody. Happy to be here for the opportunity to share a little bit about the development of AI, in specific Gen AI, and related to the education sector. Happy to see the participants. Let me move this to the side. Hold on, let me try to open the chat box. Just to do a quick check, those that is joining, are you all educators from either school or maybe colleges and so on? Arshal, Cyrene, Erin, Jamaya, Komati, just curious. I assume all of you are educators as well. If you want to share where are you from in the chat box, that would be nice, so that I can get the context of whom we are talking to. So while we wait for that, so this is the topic that I think is relevant, that I want to share today. And this is in relation to the program Sambutan Minggu Global Media and Literacy Maklumat 2025. And congratulations to Pustaka Negeri Sarawak that has been very active in this domain for the past many years, and following the latest development in tech. So my name is Johari, and I'm from the Faculty of Computer Science and IT, UNIMAS. I've been with UNIMAS for the past 25 years, actually, since the year 2000. This is my 25th year, and hopefully another 10 years to go before retirement. My field of expertise is actually, to be honest, is network computing. And within network computing, the subdomain is cybersecurity. So I'm very well versed in the blue hat, gray hat, black hat kind of approach lah. So when we talk about cybersecurity, the blue hat are the good people defending a given network or organization. The red hat is of course the opposite side that try to hack and break the network, and the gray hat is in between actually. My foray into AI started back in 2014 because I was interested in terms of cybersecurity, network security, web security. Can someone on the bad side use technology to create new viruses, new malware, new way of hacking and so on? And of course, the answer is yes. And I learned and researched on how to defend against such intrusion and such attack using what we call as dynamic attack. You can create a new virus that can adapt and changes upon being detected and so on and so on. And those were the time when we were using ML and DL, machine learning, deep learning, and so on. When people say AI, nowadays, I'm pretty sure it is related to Gen AI, which I will explain in more details later. And from that, then we will venture into how it is related to our education sector. Feel free to contact me. My email is there. My number is there. You can WhatsApp me. Of course, I cannot guarantee I can reply immediately. My turnaround time when replying to message, maybe within 24 hours, but I will get back to you. Now, the previous slide, this one, I mean, I would imagine in near future, this is the dream and hope for all of us educators. I'm in the family of educator actually. My elder sister is a teacher at preschool. My younger sister is a teacher at high school, teaching Form 6 and Form 5. And I'm also an educator teaching at higher education institution. Among the three of us, I have to salute my elder sister in taking care of the preschool children, student. Or that is the most challenging, I would say. And this kid running around and things like that, crying, whatever it is at the age of 5, 6, 7 years, 5 and 6, 4 years old even. And that is the most critical part of our education development, I would say. So she has the toughest job among all us three. And another thing that I think that always come out when we talk about AI education, are we still relevant as educators? I mean, I've been asking around. Of course, there are always two schools of thought. Yes. And people always claim that AI can do a lot of things when it comes to teaching, learning, and education, but it doesn't have the soft touch, the human touch, whatever it is that you want to use the term for. To a certain extent, I agree. But if you ask me personally, I think I'm in the school of thought that it's just a matter of time. When and where, I cannot tell you exactly. I would say probably another 5 to 10 years. When we as an educator can also be replaced by this AI. What is lacking now is the physical representation of AI, aka robots. But China is developing very fast in terms of physical robot. The version that they have now, the Unity robot and things like that, can mimic a human body movement. And I've seen in various sources that they can also now replicate human face with the right emotional movement and things like that. I mean, you have seen this in movies, Hollywood movies, and those are actually based on research that they have done. So again, those are not far-fetched. Back to the question, can these robot teachers, educator, whatever you want to call them, represent human educator? Maybe not 100%. And there's something about human which is unique, but the question whether our job will be replaced by AI, I think the right question is, how many of us is still relevant? And if we are not totally replaced by AI, the number is definitely will be reduced. And so we talk about this later when we talk about how AI can help us in terms of education. Feel free to ask question. Chat box is there, or you can unmute yourself. Make this a bit two-way conversation. I have a lot to cover actually. Allow me maybe 1.5 hours, then we can have an open Q&A. But along the way, as I mentioned, feel free to post question. Now, before we can go to the education part, hopefully you haven't attended my talk before because it's almost the same thing. If you have, I apologize, but more is better. The rule of memorization is at least 7 repetition in order to get into the long-term memory. We cannot run away from talking about industrial revolution. Let me connect industrial revolution to the current AI development that we have. Now, industrial revolution, the first industrial revolution goes back to 1784. And the focal point is Great Britain, now known as United Kingdom. The industry of interest during this time, one of them, if you read the literature about industrial revolution in the first industrial revolution, is usually the cotton industry, kapas. Why cotton? Because during that time, there is no synthetic material. There is no polyester, there is no rayon, whatever it is that we have now. And cotton is the only material that you can turn into proper clothing. So cotton fetch a high price and is one of the main commodity for Great Britain during that time. The main problem is the industry totally relies on human labor, from planting the cotton, harvesting the cotton, pre-processing, sending to the factory, cleaning up, turn it into strand of cotton thread and things like that, and finally into clothing. All depends on human labor. What's wrong with human labor? The next slide explains that. So we ourselves is human, and we face these challenges actually. Hold on. So we take coffee break. And first thing that we do when we arrive, I'm talking about myself lah, and I need to have a coffee. First coffee is around 5 o'clock in the morning. Second coffee when I arrive in the office. Ada yang divert to the nearest mama shop or whatever it is, eatery, and have their first day of coffee. 10 is another coffee break, 12 is lunch break, and then 3 is another coffee break, and so on and so on. I'm not saying this is the majority, but yes, this seems to be the culture and trend, especially for us in the civil servant government sector. Again, I'm not trying to generalize. I'm talking about myself. And we don't work 24/7. At most, we work 5 days a week. And there is talk about 4 days a week kind of week, which I don't think will work. We need our weekends, we need 9 to 5 kind of schedule, and so on and so on. So that's how us as a human function, we need rest. And we use social media a lot, and which we cannot run away actually. I mean, there are purpose and reason to use social media for work, communication, and so on and so on, but very hard to split what is right for work and what is leisure. So he falls into the trap of, yep, let me look at another posting in TikTok. One posting become 2 posting, 3 posting become 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And whether we like it or not, become 1 hour and so on. And I always falls into that trap lah. Robot don't have a bad day. So again, we are human. And once in a while, Monday blues can every Monday, or Sunday turns to Monday, we have this dread to go to work. And again, I'm talking about myself, but for various reasons, robot are distracted by drama at home. We can be moody when something happened at home with our kids, with our spouses, not spouses. And the last one, this is another major thing about automation, AI, and so on. They can do much faster job, better job at the fraction of time. And this is one of the key motivation. So going back to the Industrial Revolution, the theme is repeated across the rest of the Industrial Revolution. And one of the key themes is job losses and job creation, as I mentioned before. For every Industrial Revolution, we are looking at, yes, there are job losses, but at the same time, on the opposite end, there are new job created. So if we look at the cotton industry example, yes, the human labor that was used to do a lot of tasks along the supply chain now can be replaced by machine. I forgot to mention one thing. For every Industrial Revolution, there is there is a technology breakthrough. So the technology breakthrough in the first industrial revolution is steam power. Steam power was invented that leads to the creation of steam machine, and the rest is history. So the new job created require higher skill. You need people to create the machine. You need people to maintain the machine. You need people to operate the machine, and so on and so on. So that's the same trend across the rest of the industrial revolution. Yes, there are job losses, but at the same time, job creation that require higher skill. So you need to upskill and you need to reskill. So the second revolution, we shift to US. One of the example is the automotive industry, the introduction of the idea of assembly plant. So there is this assembly line where at every stop, at every point, there is a specific task. So let's say the automotive industry and the Ford factory in US during the second industrial revolution. At the first stage, maybe it's the body. You paint the body. And then you move to the second stage where you put the engine in, and so on and so on. So at every point, the worker at that point is skilled for that particular task. They are trained for that particular task. It's not general purpose skill anymore like the first industrial revolution. So you become very focused and skill based. But still, there are weak points. There are still parts where things are still done by human. Now, another aspect which is interesting from the social aspect of the industrial revolution, this is purely a capitalism view when it comes to industrial revolution. The rich get richer. What are the people that are concerned about all these human labor kind of thing? The owner of this factory, the rich people. So in their mind, the basic question that they ask, how to reduce dependency on human, increase automation, increase productivity, which in turn increase profitability. As simple as that. And the same pattern across all the industrial revolution. And they keep asking, yep, human is the bottleneck. How to automate as much as possible, reduce dependency on human, increase productivity, increase profitability. So it happens throughout all the industrial revolution up until now. But by looking at maybe another angle of challenges actually, when it comes to AI. AI is not considered as part of the fourth industry. I mean, is not in the foundation of the fourth IR. When we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, there are 9 pillars of technology, which is coined by the Germans. Is the big data analytic, the system integration, the AR, the VR, the cyber security. There are 9 pillars altogether. AI is not specifically mentioned, but you can put that under the data analytic, because it's part and parcel of data analytic actually. So we are probably looking AI as part of the next industrial revolution, which is probably soon. I would expect in another 3 to 5 years that we can claim that we are now in the 5th industrial revolution. There is another key ingredient that I will mention later. And one of the things that you might notice when we talk about AI in Hollywood movies, and there are so many movies actually, and I'm pretty sure you have seen some of them. If you are as old as me, then I'm sure you recognize the robot that you see on the slide now, the Terminator robot. This is the T-100 from the very first Terminator series, not the current Terminator. And the first Terminator is the original Terminator from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. And the point of this particular slide, whether you notice or not, in most of the movie that depicts AI, AI is usually depicted as a malevolent entity yang jahat. Why? They want to destroy human being. And why is the logic, or what is the logic behind that? Why in most of the Hollywood movie, AI is usually portrayed as a bad entity? Now, the answer to that is straightforward actually, and related to the type of AI that we will talk next in the next slide. Imagine in the future, if I can remember correctly, in the Terminator movie is the year 2057. And there's one line from that movie, Skynet become conscious. What's the next line actually? I remember that part lah. That refers to the AI gain super intelligent and they become conscious. And imagine this AI wake up in the future, they scan around the world and they see a lot of destruction. That's one of the scenario. Like there's a lot of destruction, maybe after World War III and so on. And the question that they will ask, since they are logical entity, who or what caused this destruction? And the answer to that is very simple. It's humankind. And we are the cause of a lot of destruction in this world, even now. And even in the past, for sure, if you look at the history. So unfortunately, we are the cause of a lot of problem in this world. So to this AI, it's a very simple solution. If the root cause of the problem is human, then terminate human, as simple as that. Solve all the problem in this world. And sometimes you wish that, looking at what happened around us, there are so many, I would say, sad things, referring to the current news. Now, before we go into AI, we need to understand this particular point. Are computers smart? If you refer to computer as the first computer being invented back in 1947, was named ENIAC, and the size of the computer is huge. The power of this computer is probably much, much weaker than your smartwatch now. I'm not talking about your smartphone. Your smartphone is a proper computer by today's standard. But back in the year 1947, your current smartwatch is probably 100 times more powerful than this supercomputer. They call it supercomputer, but they are not smart. And computers are literally dumb. The term computer comes from the term compute, which means that this computer can calculate, perform calculation at a very fast speed, many cycles per second, billions and billions of cycles per second, that translated into actions that you see in your computer. So whenever you open your Excel, your Word, your PowerPoint, your browse through your browser, blah, 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 that is down to computation. The 1 and the 0 binary numbers being operated by this machine. So that's all they do actually, day and night, as long as they have access to power supply, and they will do that repeatedly without any errors. So they're good at that, computation or compute, but they're not smart. Something as simple as recognizing an object like a cat is a very difficult problem for a given computer system. Now, do you remember when you learned how to recognize a cat is a cat? Cikgu-cikgu, saya panggil cikgu-cikgu lah kan, termasuk diri saya sendiri. If you are educators, yep, welcome to the talk. Anybody remember? Do you go to a school, introduction to cat ke, ataupun how do you learn a cat is a cat? Or any object for that matter. Maybe one of the scenario, I mean, let's say you are 2 years old, and you walk with your parents one day, and then you saw an animal, a creature, and then you ask your parents, "Pak, apa ya, Pak? What is that?" And your parents say, "Oh, that's a cat, pusa, kucing." I'm pretty sure you will not register that in your brain. So tomorrow, maybe you will go for another walk. And you saw another cat. And you probably ask your parents again, "What is that? Apa ya, Pak?" "That's a cat, pusa." And so on and so on. So the rule of thumb, usually you need at least 7 repetition in order to register that knowledge in your brain. So that's how we learn in most cases, apart from the formal learning where you attend classes at school, university, and so on. So how exactly our brain learn those information? Recognizing an object, listening to a sound, being able to communicate using language and that kind of thing. Those are trivial problem for us human, but a very difficult task for this AI. So the holy grail, I would say, the ultimate goal for researcher from the computer science domain, AI domain, is how to make this computer as smart as a human being. Even though human being has a lot of flaw and weaknesses, but that's the ultimate goal. That's why we call it artificial intelligence. Artificial as in referring to human intelligence. We are trying to copy or mimic human intelligence. And there are various ways that have been tried actually. And before we talk about that, let's try to see the differences between the different type of AI. There are people that cynically mentioned and AI is not new, which is very, very true. And why we only probably aware about AI for the past maybe 2-3 years, and there is a reason for that. Let's talk about the type of AI. The first level of AI, if you want to categorize this, is the ANI, Artificial Narrow Intelligence, also known as weak AI, ataupun ANI lah, Artificial Narrow Intelligence. So this one has been going on for the past 50 years, plus minus. The theory behind this, the application of this, and so on. Simply, AI is a type of AI that can do one task very, very well. It's not general purpose. There are AI for health, there are AI for education, there are AI for so many things. You open your Google search, there is an AI that powered that. You open your Google map to find direction, there is an AI that powered that, and so on and so on. But they are good at doing one thing at any one time. The ultimate goal now is AGI. We haven't reached that yet. Even the current ChatGPT model that you are using on daily basis, that is rumored to be very close to the AGI, General Intelligence. But I think the consensus, we are not there yet. And again, there are different school of thought. And if you read the research paper about this, there is one group from Oxford that dispute this. And there's a research group from Anthropic. There is a company called Anthropic that actually build Claude AI. That's one of the top 3. So if you look at the ecosystem for the proprietary AI, the AI that you have to pay to use, of course, ChatGPT is on the top of the list, Gemini from Google, and then we have Claude from Anthropic, Mistral from Mistral. So Anthropic team claim that the current model that most of the company have is very close to AGI. And one of the criteria that they actually test is, can this AI create new knowledge? And yes, it can create new knowledge for various domains. It can find a new combination of protein that never existed before. It can find a new cure for cancer. Of course, it's not tested yet. They can find a few medical solutions and other domains as well. So the point is, it can create new knowledge. But on the other side, the team from Oxford conduct another research, and they claim no. Yes, the current AI can generate new knowledge, but only based on all the existing knowledge. And to understand that part, you have to understand that this AI is being trained on existing human knowledge. And billions and billions of parameters of human knowledge. The whole internet, the whole book that we have in the world, and so on and so on. But it cannot create totally new knowledge. And that is proven by the research from Oxford. Contoh, if you look at human flight, the Wright brothers. So the Wright brothers, I come across this very recently, which I didn't know actually. The Wright brothers actually was mocked by many, many people, either from the scientific domain ataupun from the general public, when they proposed the idea that human can fly. The Wright brothers, the first human flight. Because all the data from existing literature, from academic and so on, points to the direction that human flight is close to impossible. Even if it's possible, it will take millions of years to achieve that, because the data shows that. But then they prove it wrong. They prove it, yes, human can actually fly. They make adjustment to a lot of things. And yep, the rest is history. So the point is, can AI do that? Can AI come up with a new knowledge, either from existing knowledge that is proven, yes, they can actually do that. But at the same time, can they come up with new knowledge that is against all the current data for a certain given domain? And that is not proven yet. So this argument will continue. But the prediction is stating that maybe within the next 2 to 3 years, we will reach AGI. Now, the ultimate level for AI is this ASI, super intelligent. And this is where AI surpasses human intelligence, and that event is called the singularity. Ray Kurzweil, he's a computer scientist from US. He has written 2 books. The first book, Singularity is Near, back in 2005. And the latest book, I think, was last year, 2024, a continuation of this. I cannot remember. It's the Singularity is something, something. So in his book, which is a bit scary, he predicted that AGI is 2027, 2028. So plus minus, I think, is on the dot. And ASI, super intelligent, the singularity event is 2047. Might be in our lifetime. I will be what? Hold on, let me try to quickly calculate. Not bad, 77 years old actually. Maybe some of you younger than me, like the MC just now for sure. And if you live healthily, you will reach this event. Is this something that I look forward? I'm not sure. And even the godfather of AI, Geoff Hinton, is actually scared of this event. At this point, he said there is no mechanism to control this AI. What this AI will do actually in the future. So that can be scary in a way. Right? So singularity event. Now, how exactly we can build this AI to reflect human intelligence, this artificial intelligence? So one of the approach that seems to work is referring to the work by Frank Rosenblatt. He's a biologist actually. Way back in 1957, he actually researched on how human brain works when it comes to learning something. So he actually proved that when we learn something and the idea of moving an information unit from the short-term memory to long-term memory is involving creating what we call as the neural net. So when we learn something, we actually build a network of this cell called neural net between the perceptron. And this stay there in our brain for, I guess, forever. That's why there are things that we still remember from many, many years ago. So just to test your memorization, siapa yang masih ingat 7 colors of rainbow? And how do you remember that? Cikgu, how do you teach your student or you yourself remember the 7 warna pelangi in the right order? Most of you probably will use mnemonics, a way of learning. Anybody? I took my SPM 30 years ago. Is it? 1992. Tak adalah. I'm not that old. Kejap 2025. 1992. Oh my God. Why we have to do this? Maths is not one of my. Hold on. 33 33 years ago. Okay, thank you. And I still remember Roy G. Biff. Red, orange, yellow, green, indigo, blue, and violet in the right order. There has to be other ways to remember this. But the point is, I guess in my brain, there's already a neural net developed many, many years back, which I can remember all these things. And I guess that's the point of learning something, so that we can keep those information in our brain, apart from understanding it. I saw a recent video where scientists managed to capture the point of which this neural net being created. Let me try to find the video. Allow me a few seconds to actually search this for you. I forgot to prepare this in advance. Hold on. Videos. Of course, the video was zoomed up. Hold on. Don't be surprised if you look at me. I'm looking at left and right because computer people have a lot of monitors actually. I'll get back to this later. There was a video that proved this actually. And the point about this slide, this is where computer scientists realize, even though our brain, our human biology has a lot of weaknesses as well, but in terms of learning, this seems to be the best approach, which is the neural network. And based on this principle, then this algorithm related to AI was developed. Now, let's look at the differences. And maybe this is a bit technical, but I'll try to make it as simple as possible. The domain that we are talking about falls under AI, artificial intelligence, whereby it refers to how we can teach computers or computer system to think and behave like human, intelligence of a human. And under this AI umbrella, there are two main approaches previously, which is machine learning and deep learning. Now, they are interconnected actually. Now, what is this machine learning and deep learning? Again, very basic. Let's say you want to teach a computer on how to recognize a cat is a cat. So if you look at machine learning approach, you need to first do what we call as feature extraction. This is where we want to teach the computer in order for the computer to recognize this is a cat. What are the features of a cat? A cat should have two triangle shaped ear. I'm talking about normal cat, two eyes, whisker, fur, and so on and so on. Again, the more feature that you want to recognize, the more compute power that you need and the more complex it is and so on and so on. But the biggest challenge in machine learning, this feature extraction, even though there are attempts to automate, it is still best done by human. Human needs to codify these features. There are different ways to do that. But ultimately, the consequence is it is not scalable. Do it for one object is okay, 10 object is okay, 100, 10,000 objects still okay. But when you have billions of objects, then it's not scalable. So machine learning, even though it works, but there are disadvantages. And of course, researchers improve. They look back at how humans learn. We don't learn like this. We never do feature extraction. Maybe our brain actually does it. But what we do is we learn through examples. This is where deep learning come into the picture. So deep learning remove the feature extraction. It's not removing actually. The feature extraction is embedded within the deep learning algorithm, but we need to start with a set of data set. So if you want to teach this deep learning algorithm about a cat is a cat, you need to start with X number of images of different cat, different position, and so on and so on. There are many criteria, but you don't have to extract the feature. You let this algorithm learn the feature on its own. But you need a lot of data set. What is the number? Usually we start with 1,000 of images per object. So those are the challenges. And another interesting thing is, if you think about what is the output actually, and there are two steps. When we talk about AI, you need two things actually. You need to train the AI, okay? So there are two phases where the first phase is what we call the train phase. You have the algorithm, you pump the data, depending whether it's text, images, and so on. It will create what we call as a model. So this one require a lot of money, a lot of time, resources, expertise, and so on. But this is done maybe a few times. And once you have the model, then you can use it for inference. This is where you use it to detect new images. So let's say this is to train a cat is a cat. Okay. So when you have this model, then you have to deploy this model, you have to host this model, then you can start using it. So you show a picture of a cat, and then the model can tell you whether it's a cat or not. But what's interesting, what is exactly the output from this model? And this is a lot of people that do not realize. This model will give you what we call as the probability, the percentage of the object is a cat. So it's not a definitive yes or no. It is a number. So if we say, okay, this is 80% probability that it is a cat. So we have to do another round of what we call as encapsulation. Because for you, you don't want to know this number. You want to know whether yes, it is cat or no, it's not a cat. And but that is beyond our discussion for today. If you are interested, then yep, you can pursue maybe training ataupun further education in this domain lah. Now, the application is wide. Almost in all domain, we will find the application of AI. I'm talking about the prior AI technology, the ML, the DL, in almost every field actually. Health, for example, just to give you a reference point, cancer detection, for example, 5 types of cancer: the breast cancer, prostate cancer, lung cancer, and another 2 which I cannot recall. Human specialists accuracy level is 90%, 90. So what you do, you go to hospital, you are suspected to have maybe cancer, you go for MRI, CT scan, X-ray, pass to the specialist. Specialists will take their own sweet time again, very busy, and maybe a week after that, you'll get your result. But AI now have the accuracy up to 97% accuracy, 97 compared to human specialists at 90% accuracy. Much, much better. But when I ask around, do you trust the AI result, or do you prefer to see human specialists? Majority, yes, they want to see human doctor / specialist. And even though this AI is much more accurate, so again, the human touch come into the picture. So it is proven actually. And what is interesting, early this year, 2025, prior to 2025, in US, even though this AI cancer detection has 97% plus accuracy, you still have to refer the result to a specialist for endorsement. But early this year, US approved a law whereby this particular 5 cancer that has been proven to have at least 97% accuracy can be used straight away without confirmation from the specialist, which shows that it is viable and verifiable, the result. And you don't have to wait for this specialist to certify. Because this AI can do this in minutes rather than days or weeks. And you can see the implication in health. Now, one thing that I explore back in 2022, I mean, I did mention that I explore AI, the ML and DL related to cybersecurity before this. And I totally believe AI can do a better job in terms of cybersecurity. But if someone asks me before 2022, can AI be creative or not? My answer will be straight away no. Why? Because I don't believe AI has the creativity. And I always believe human is the sole owner of creativity. But when I explored Gen AI back in 2022, play around with a few models, and the first domain that I play around is actually image generation. Masa tu ChatGPT belum famous sangat lah. And it's not as good as what we have now. But I started to use AI to generate images. I'm not from creative background, but I think I might be creative. So just to share, maybe some of you have seen this, my Instagram. Instagram, which I dedicate to all images generated by AI, by me lah. Instagram, hold on All right. A bit slow Instagram today. Any problem? Usually sometime there is a problem. Hold on, let me open my profile. Okay. How many images? 3,700 images for the past 3 year plus. 3 year plus. And all these images are generated using AI. This one from Flux, if I'm not mistaken, a model from Black Forest, used to be Stable Diffusion, if you follow this domain. To my untrained creative eyes, this one looks good and looks like real human. And if you follow social media like TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, there are so many AI generated content. And we are reaching the level where there's a lot of question in the chat asking, is this AI generated or not? And contoh macam the latest song from Amira the drummer. I'm not sure how many of you follow that. And people are asking, she sang the Spanish song in her latest apa tu lagu kan. People are asking, is this AI generated? Well, it's actually sang by her, but some of the part of the video is AI generated lah. Siapa dah dengar? Amira? Maybe later we can dengar sekejap. Mi Corazon, I think, if I'm not mistaken. People are wishing that to be the World Cup 2026 song. So ada banyak lagi lah. And these are all AI generated. The reason why I generate so many images, and I'm not trying to be an artist, and this is another discussion later lah. People are not very happy when you try to encroach into their territory, as in the creative people. But the thing that I'm trying to develop is how to write prompt in order to generate what you want to generate. Looking at this, yes, you understand, but try to translate that into prompt. How or what are the terms that you need to put in the prompt in order to generate this kind of image? And what are the image style? What is the perspective? What is the content? And so on and so on. So that require a bit of learning and training if you're not from that domain. So just playing around with different style, different technique, different prompt, and to see whether I can still come up with the prompt in order to generate something. All right, we'll come back to this later. So coming back to my question, can I be creative? Then in 2023, early 2023, I changed my perception. It might be not as 100% authentic and real as human, but it's just a matter of time. Either image generation, music generation, story, and things like that. I'll share a little bit about my experience in this domain, creative domain. Now let's move on. Let me do a time check. Now it's 2:50. I think we have another half an hour again. So ring me when the time is almost over. I'm not sure whether I can finish everything, but the link to the slide is in the chat box. If you cannot see it, let me know and I will try to post it again. Ataupun let me post it again now, since just now some of you just joined. Hold on. Link to the slide in the chat box. If you cannot download, let me know. Now let's continue our discussion. What is Gen AI or generative AI? Very simple. Gen AI must require input, it will process it, and it will produce an output. So the input can be in text format, or it can be in picture format, and so on and so on. But mostly we use text as the input. We call that prompt. And this is one of the skill that is, I would say, critical for the future generation. How to ask the right question to this AI. We call that prompt engineering. And the output can be in terms of visual. It can be image, it can be video, it can be audio, it can be speech, it can be music, and of course, text. And most of the time we use ChatGPT, Gemini, and so on to get text output. And in my domain, since I'm from computer science, of course, code generation. And this is a specific challenge for us in computer science. If you as a parent, you ask me, should my kids go to computer science? I would say put on hold first. My dean maybe not happy with that statement, but we are looking at a very drastic change in the landscape for job in the computer science / IT field. A lot of things are taken over by AI. And code generation programming is 100% done by AI now. Of course, again, there are arguments about the level of complexity, blah, 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 and so on. It will get better and better, as simple as that. So we don't need programmer anymore. And any of you can actually do or write a program or build a system just by using prompt. Kalau ada masa, saya will demonstrate. The last thing that I need to connect to what we were discussing, AI, ML, DL, and Gen AI, is something called LLM, Large Language Model. Now, one of the main challenges when it comes to making AI as intelligent as human is from the language perspective. There is a specific domain when it comes to AI and languages called natural language processing, NLP. And a few of my colleagues at Unimas there is expert in this domain and natural language processing. And it has been an ongoing challenge actually. So if you think about language, this is how we as a human communicate and store knowledge and information. And how we code our information is through language. So it is very important to get this AI to learn and understand language. Because at the bottom level, they are operating using binary 1 and 0. That's their language. But we don't use that. We use human language. So they need to understand that. And under NLP, one of the major challenge is contextual understanding. Word to word is no problem. That one has been solved maybe 10 years ago. Given a word, and AI can perfectly understand what is it all about. But when you put a word in a sentence, then it can mean so many things in many, many languages. So context is one of the challenges when it comes to making this AI intelligent as human. And the breakthrough is back in 2017 when Google research arm, the DeepMind team, come up with a paper called Attention is What We Need. The title of the paper, research paper. And in that paper, they introduced this algorithm called the transformer algorithm. So if you read the literature about AI, Gen AI, you might come across this, what we call as the transformer architecture. Simply, this transformer architecture is to provide the contextual understanding. And the rest is history. Now, all the company involved in the current Gen AI is looking into LLM as the training part and become an asset to them. So ChatGPT, what is the company behind that? OpenAI. The model is GPT model, currently version 5. Google, their model is called Gemini. Now it's 2.5, version 3 is coming in November, very soon. Mistral has their own model called Mistral. Meta/Facebook has their own model called Llama model. Microsoft has their Copilot model, and so on and so on. So this model, these companies spend a lot of money actually to invest in training this model. And large language model is also the interest of the state government. And this is interesting as well. At the national level, there are two models related to Malay language. One from Mesolotica, that's an independent private company that is doing research on Malay LLM. There is another company, YTL. I'm sure some of you knows about this. If you are educator and teachers and on the senior side, you have heard about this Bistari.net project dulu kan? The Bistari.net project at school across Malaysia from YTL. I'm not going into the detail. I'm not sure whether this is recorded or not, but I think some of you knows about the history of YTL. And the other company that come up with the Ilmu LLM. It falls under the category called sovereign LLM. Why sovereign LLM? Coming back to the discussion, in order to train LLM, it requires a lot of resources, as in money, need to be invested. And there is a reason for that after this. And why we don't rely on existing model? You can simply maybe use model from OpenAI or blah, 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 and so on. The justification is, as a nation, and a lot of nation is doing this, we need to be able to safeguard the access to technology. What if for some reason one day OpenAI say nope, we are not giving you access to this model, ataupun yalah, any of these company, Microsoft say nope, we are not giving Malaysia, and so on and so on, and then we are left on the dry side, kan, tak ada access to this LLM. That's why Malaysia as a nation wants a sovereign LLM, and YTL actually have done that, and that LLM is called Ilmu. You can search about that. And Sarawak also planning to do the same thing. Why? Is the current LLM not sufficient? Yes, because what if you want to converse in IBAN or Bidayo? The current LLM actually can do that, but not 100% accurate lah. ChatGPT can understand IBAN, a bit of Bidayo. I've tested that. Which Bidayo dialect? That one tested all. Not sure about Melanau and other ethnic languages. We have close to 42 different ethnic group in Sarawak alone. So apart from being sovereign and catering for the different ethnic group in Sarawak lah, and so that's the reason why Premier wants Sarawak to have its own LLM dubbed as Deep SAR or Deep Sarawak. Now, why it is expensive? Just to give you indicators about the cost of training LLM. Time check, 3 o'clock. I'll jump to education part after this. If you in the business or hobby of playing games, let me check the number lagi. Any gamers here? I'm a bit biased. I would assume the male participant probably is more aligned to playing game. I'm picking the male out. Arshad, are you or do you play games? Nazri, Albi. Terus hilang nama. Anybody play games? Brian, yes. Which GPU that you have? Just curious. Not bad. 3090, that's top of the line. If I remember correctly, 24 GB of VRAM. Now, this is to the ladies. If your spouse, your husband, or your boyfriend, or even your son, again, I'm being a bit biased, pointing to the male, telling you in a very nice tone, sayang, I want to buy a computer with GPU. Now, just to share, the price of GPU, if you go for the top of the line, the current version, which is the 5000 series RTX from NVIDIA, the card alone, the GPU card, the graphical processing unit card, not the whole computer, is on average 12,000 ringgit. Just the card, So if you add the whole thing, the whole computer system, maybe around 15 to 17,000 ringgit lah. And what, of course, this is top of the line. 3090, I think probably have dropped a little bit, kan, Brian, kan? So TI is around 10K, just for the graphic card. So you can actually do a bit of LLM training and inference using this card, to be honest. Contact me if you're interested. But this is not used by the company that actually train LLM. OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, they don't use this. What they are using is this one, the H200, the B200. A single card alone, probably you can buy a house, 190,000 per card. And how many card you need in order to train, let's say, GPT-3 from OpenAI back in 2023? It is rumored, OpenAI spend 100 million USD on 25,000 of this graphic card, A100. Not even this H series actually, the A100 single card is 100,000 ringgit, and they were using 25,000 of this card connected together in a server farm. It took around 3 months plus to train, around 100 million USD, the total cost. And maybe you think ChatGPT is the most popular. On paper, yes. The latest statistic, they have around 500,000 active users per week. Sorry, not 500,000, 500 million active user per week. So that is 1/16 of the Earth population at 8 billion. Never before an application has that number of user per week. 500 million user, active user. Maksudnya dia login and use the software. But it is rumored OpenAI as a company is losing money. Why? Apart from the cost to train this LLM is huge, the cost of running or operating this LLM is also very, very expensive. So the ChatGPT that we love to use is currently consuming $700,000 per day just to be hosted in data center across the world. But all in all, 700,000 per day multiplied by 30 days per week, around 21 million 30 days per month, around average 21 million plus to operate, plus other costs. So they're not making money at this point of time. They are losing money, even with all the paid accounts and things like that. Now, let me ask another question. Last year, my question would be, siapa yang dah gunakan ChatGPT? Who has used ChatGPT or other chatbot? This year, the question totally terbalik. Who among you that haven't used any sort of AI chatbot? Tak kisahlah, whatever it is. I think based on my many previous talk and engagement, I think the number is less than 5%. Maksudnya out of 10 people, less than 1 yang belum pernah gunakan. For whatever reason lah. So the trend now terbalik lah. I'm pretty sure you have used it. And now the question is, how do you use it? Are you using it properly and correctly in order to get the best output from these tools? And there are so many tools actually. And even myself in this domain also sit TKB and don't have the time to explore everything. All right. Now, the concluding point why we should use AI. There are pros and cons as usual. To me, at this stage of AI technology, there are two factors. It is speeding up the things that we can do and to ease up, memudahkan dan mempercepatkan. And so many things that can be speed up. I just completed a research proposal that would took me probably 2 weeks to do, but I completed in 2 hours. So that is a factor of what, 10,000 times faster. And so instead of requiring 5 people to do a proposal, it's just me and my AI. So it is speeding up a lot of things, and it is easing up rather than scratching my head to do a deep research on literature review. This AI can do it for me. But of course, on the other side, what is the implication actually to us as human in general and as educator specifically? Options for this AI chatbot, so many to be honest. You probably use ChatGPT, you probably use Copilot. If you're educator, I'm sure you have access to Gemini. And through your Delima account, then you have access to Gemini. There are so many trainings from Google for Google Educator, blah, 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 and so on. There are so many guru contoh. One of the teacher that I kind of not follow lah, but I know she's doing very well. Cikgu Veronica, if I'm not mistaken, from Sabah. So she has a lot of content about using AI, especially Gemini lah, for teaching and learning. So it is a matter of personal preference, number one. So to me, the top 3 is ChatGPT is still 1 step ahead. Gemini is not that far behind. The current version or model 2.5, either the Plus or the Flash, is actually good. Copilot, number 3 lah. Apart from that, the rest is not bad, and they have their own niche area. Claude is very good at system development. Mistral, good in everything, but for some reason, I think they don't um, advertise themselves very well, and it's a French company, so they are behind the scene lah. City is again an interesting player. Now, apart from this, if you go to the other side from China, if you follow the trade war and also this AI war between US and China, then China also doing very well. And this is interesting. So when you cut access of things from an entity, either they will flourish and find their own solution, ataupun they will collapse. For China, is definitely the other side. They flourish actually. So I would say backfire for US. US think that they can cut the technology to China in both hardware and software. NVIDIA is being banned from being exported to China. They come up with their own GPU launching very soon. And rumors said it is much, much better than NVIDIA chip or graphic card. And in terms of algorithm as well, early this year, DeepSeek cost only 7 million USD to train as compared to 100 million from ChatGPT to train. And they perform as good or much better than ChatGPT model. Quen, Kimi, Zach AI. Dan banyak lagi lah, to be honest. And interesting. After this, I'll show a little bit here and there about all these model. ChatGPT, what else to talk about? You use it on daily basis. Now, to touch a little bit, again, if you have been using ChatGPT for the past maybe 1 or 2 years, you know what is prompt all about. But again, the question is, are you prompting correctly? In computer science, there is a saying, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. As simple as that. In order for you to get output from any AI model, you have to have good input. So garbage in, garbage out, and opposite is very true as well. And good input, good output. So the point is, we need to learn how to ask question to this AI. Question as in prompting lah. There are so many framework, but they are more or less the same. So this is a general purpose framework that contain all this. Ataupun maybe I will jump to the one from Google. This is from my book, and we'll be releasing it very soon. Just to self promote. Hold on. It looks very nice. The images, the illustration, all AI generated. I created the content illustration using AI, but put everything together using Canva. Let me show briefly about this book. What's the plan for this book? Not sure actually. Should I sell it? Should I give it for free? I have no idea at this point of time. Give me 1 second just to module teacher. This is number 3. Okay. Where is it? Okay, loading now. F11 full screen up. This is, I would say, complete, just a matter of proofreading. This module specifically on prompt engineering, understanding prompt, type of prompt, and the rest lah. And it is designed to be simple to understand, a lot of example, a lot of illustration, and in particular using this framework from Google called TCREI, I call it. So let's look into this model for prompting. Now, this 3 is important. The context, the task, and the references. Evaluate and iterate is basically a cyclic approach. Now, when you write a prompt, let me show you an example. We tend, as a human nature, can write a very simple prompt. And how we can expect AI to give you a proper answer. So that's why we need to learn and train ourselves to be specific when it comes to writing prompt. Contoh, the red color is the task. So dalam task ni ada banyak elemen lah. You are a primary 6 teacher, explain photosynthesis in 5 short bullet point. So in this part of the prompt, there is a task. The task is explain photosynthesis in what format, 5 short bullet point, what persona, you are primary 6 science teacher. And so there are people that argue about this. Do you need to explain the role of the persona? In my case, I think it is beneficial. And to force AI to think specifically as a primary 6 science teacher. And the format is short bullet point. What is the context? Context in BM, as if preparing for UPSR, can by default, ChatGPT and many other models, they like to write in bullet point. So without context, then they will assume that is the right format and context. So that's why you have to specifically instruct this AI model to write to what you want. And references, they learn a lot from references and to give context to them. So these three require practice. So you need to think, sit down and write the prompt based on this requirement. What is the task? What is the context? What is the references? And based on my personal experience, no matter how good you are in writing prompt, unlikely you will get the best answer with only one try. So what you need to do, you need to evaluate. Does that sound correct or not? Or does it fulfill what you want? And if not, then iterate. Change what you think can be changed and then repeat again until you get to the point, yet that is something that I want. Okay, so prompt engineering is simply that. So this is another example. Now, a few things that I want to share. I mean, we don't have time for actual demo. That require probably a hands-on workshop session. So if you're interested, either through Pustaka or through your own school and so on, you can contact me. What is interesting, and this is what we are currently doing with one school at Samarahan there, Sekolah Kebangsaan St. James, Kampung Kop, whereby we are teaching the student to use AI chatbot ethically and the right way. Now, there is something called Socratic approach. What is Socratic? Come from the philosopher Socrates back in 1600 AD, if I'm not mistaken. Now, Socratic approach, meaning that when you ask a question to this AI, it will not give you straight away the final answer. And as educator, that is so important. I think the consensus is we cannot stop AI. It will be part, or it is part of our student and our life ecosystem in terms of learning, teaching. And we cannot stop that. The question is, for us that has gone through the era of non-AI, non-tech, and now AI, we learn something very important. We learn the fundamental first, which means that when AI give an answer, we know how to evaluate. Is the answer correct or not? Is AI hallucinating or not? We can decide that because we know the fundamental. The problem with the current era, student will skip learning the fundamental, go straight to AI chatbot, ask question, get answer, copy and paste. That's it. So that's not the right way. And no matter what school of thought that you're coming from, as an educator, that is not learning and educating, as simple as that. So my challenge and my colleague challenge at university level, how to teach the fundamental first without AI, and along the way use AI to supplement or to assist, not to replace actually. Even though you can replace, and you can use AI 100% in most of the cases. But to me, that's not the right way. It can be an assistant to what you are doing. And one very important aspect later when we talk about ethics, whom are responsible if something goes wrong? And the answer to that is very simple. Human. We as a user is responsible. And we ask AI to do something, AI come up with an answer, and we use that answer. You cannot blame AI. The sole responsibility is us that has to validate and verify every single answer. And you can only do that, validate and verify, if you know the fundamental. And if not, then you don't know if it's right or wrong. So that's the current challenge. Now, most of the AI model, ChatGPT, for example, Gemini, and other platform, has something called Socratic mode. The name is different. In ChatGPT, they call it study and learn mode. Even the free version have that. So if you go to your ChatGPT, you click on the plus, you will find study and learn mode. If you are on the paid version, it's usually on the second option. After this, I will show to you. In Gemini, something called guided learning. And in other chatbot, I noticed they also come out with this mode. What this mode do in all the platform, when you ask question or prompt a question, it will not give you the answer straight away. It will either show you step by step, or it will ask you a question first. And contoh, when you ask, can you explain about fraction for darjah 4? Then it will ask you first, how much do you know? And then it will proceed from your answer and so on and so on. It will not give you the final answer straight away. So that is Socratic approach. And before we have this dedicated mode, you have to write the right prompt in order to force AI model to answer using Socratic approach. But now it's much easier. You just choose this option, and by default, it will give you step-by-step answer or will prompt you back. Now, the rest of this, you can refer to the slide, how to use this for brainstorming. And I use this extensively. And now if my boss asks me, hey, Joe, can you come up with a new course or not? No problem, boss. Semalam nak, hari ni siap. Ataupun, what's the term? Hari ni nak, semalam sudah siap. So proud. But again, at the end of the day, you are responsible for all the content generated by this AI. And I use the visual capability of most of these AI chatbot. I used to use a separate model altogether to generate images, but most of the AI platform can also generate images. There are limitations for the free version. ChatGPT, for example, to me, they have a very good model for visual generation, image generation, but very slow. That's number one. Quality is actually very good, but the free version limit you to only 3 generations per day. I'm on the paid version, the 20 USD per month, the plus version. I cannot recall how many actually, but so far I haven't reached the limit. Maybe 10 or 30 images per day. So what I use it a lot is to put illustration images in my PowerPoint slide. Because I always believe picture can paint 1,000 words. And that is very true in most cases. So there are many alternatives for generating images. As I mentioned, my first foray into Gen AI is through image generation. So I have to learn a lot. What is photorealistic? What is illustration? What is mode? What is a golden ratio rule? What is the angle 45 degree? And so on. And then you can generate images based on what you are thinking about. Another tool, if you haven't used this, and this one, if you use Delima, the link is inside there. And I believe this will be one of the important tool when it comes to using AI in education. Notebook LM from Google. It used to be in Google Lab. So Google has a lot of things happening in their Google Lab. So their researchers try this in their lab. If it's useful, then it will come out from their lab, become one of their application, like Google Sheet, Google Word, and things like that. So now it's in transition. They will release this as a proper application in their ecosystem. And how you use it, it is a combination between a chatbot plus other really useful tools. Now, the main difference is, if you compare Notebook LM to a standard chatbot like ChatGPT. ChatGPT, when you answer, the tendency to get hallucination, whereby it will give you the wrong answer, can be high for a certain model. ChatGPT, I cannot recall. The current model, GPT-5, I think accuracy is 80+%. So there is around 20+% room for this hallucination to happen, whereby it will give you a wrong answer. The problem is we as a human always correlate right answer to language. If the language is correct, our brain will tell us, oh, the answer should be correct because it is perfectly written, grammar-wise. No spelling error, no grammatical error. And our brain is trained to think that if the language is perfect, most likely the fact is also true, which is not the case. And we call that hallucination. Now, the advantage of notebook LM, it will find answer based on the resource that you upload. So when you start a new notebook, one of the first things that you have to do is to mention the source. So you can either upload files or you can include URL and so on and so on. So any prompt will always query the document that you include here first. What else you can do? The latest version of Notebook LM, by the way, it is free if you have Google account. Of course, the free version limit you to 50 document per notebook. The paid version, which I'm currently subscribing, is up to 500 document per notebook. Now, they have 6 tools at the moment, and they are planning to add another 2 tools very soon. Audio view is interesting. You dump a document. In this case, this is my lecture note. When I create audio overview, what happens is it will generate a podcast between 2 characters, a male character, a female character, where they chat with one another about the content of this slide, but in a conversational manner. So very interesting. I now include this audio podcast in my lecture note. So the slide plus audio podcast from this notebook LM. Later, I'll show you one example. It takes around 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how big is your file and how many files that you have. And on average, the generated podcast is around 15 to 25 minutes. At the moment, there's no way to control that. It's always related to the size of your file input. Video overview is interesting. It will generate a video slide of your content, but with a lot of animation, graphics, and things like that. And now you can choose the style. And you want, I don't know, Pixar style kind of animation, and so on and so on. I used it a few times, but not to my liking. Actually, I don't feel compulsory to use this feature. My map very useful, and I always include my map in my lecture note as part of the link. Report also very interesting, and the last two is definitely for learning. You can create flashcard to learn about the topic, and I use this as well. And now midterm exam, no problem. Generate quiz based on the content of this. You can control a few things and the number of answers and so on and so on. So all in all, a very useful tool for educators. And you can delegate all this boring work. A lot of educators, not that they are not passionate about their job, and I'm sure all of you will agree to this. The teaching part, the educating part is what we live for, I would say, as part of the profession. The admin part is the one that we hate the most. And marking the assignment, doing the paperwork, and things like that. And those now can be delegated to this AI to a certain extent. And I heard there is a plan from KPM, Kementerian Pendidikan, to automate some of the menial tasks kerja-kerja yang memboringkan as educator. Hopefully that will come into fruition. This is an example of the interactive mind map. You can click on this, it will expand and so on. Oh, I forgot to, oh yes, already covered, sorry. Now we skip this. Apart from image, I also play a lot with audio. As I mentioned, in social media now, there are so many songs generated by AI. And to the point where the users start to question, is this AI generated or not? They cannot see the difference or find the differences in the song itself. And of course, if there is audio, then this year is the year of video AI generation. And ada banyak platform lah. But now the leader of the pack is this VO3 from Google. And there are so many video in the social media generated from this. The one that This is from a few months ago. Let me try to share this. Let me try. I have downloaded a TikTok video and you judge about the quality. Give me 5 minutes. Time check 3:28. 2-hour talk. So 2 to 4. Give me another 10 minutes before we go to Q&A. Ataupun you can ask question now. Biasanya talk di Malaysia ni tak banyak Q&A. Ada soalan? Tak ada soalan. Semua faham. Faham. Hold on, give me 1 second to show you the video AI generated. Yeah, this is the problem when you want something, it's not there. Oh, this is also live stream at FB. I didn't know that. How to ensure students don't become too dependent on AI tools? 1 million question. Let me answer that later. Well, if you switch the question a little bit, how to ensure that we as educators don't use AI in the wrong way? And the temptation is there. 1 second. Let me show AI generated video. Alamak. The dinosaur, ada dalam ni the link. Hold on. This is the one. Hold on. Let me open my TikTok. I hope you can hear the audio as well. Oh, no audio on your side. I think it's the sharing part just now, which I forgot to enable the audio. I will share the link later. You can watch this at your own time lah. The audio is perfect because the thing about Google VO3, all the previous video model AI generation does not come with the audio part. So you need to generate the audio separately. But VO3 comes together with the audio, and the one that I'm showing is in proper Malay, and the slang ada sedikit Indonesian here and there. That's normal for AI video lah ataupun any model because the data set for Malay language, either the spoken part or the text part, is not sufficient to train the AI properly. But if someone look at this, I would say up to a believable level, to be honest. And that comes to the next issue about ethics. And ada banyak lah. You go to TikTok now, oh my God. I don't even start on the politics side kan. Macam-macam ada. So AI education, I will skip all this part. From the development, either from RMK 13 presentation, from the budget next year, we are currently seeing a lot of investment on AI in various domains. Of course, education itself and Ministry of Education being the entity that receive the highest portion of the budget every year, and now including AI, for sure. So a few things happening the next few months and next year. The new roadmap, the education blueprint, expiring as of this year, the tiga gelombang tu kan. And then we have the new AI roadmap 2026 to 2030, RMK 13, dan banyak lagi lah. So next year, I would say going to be a very busy year. And then 2027, the new curriculum kan, KS what? I cannot recall actually. Dan dalam tu pun ada AI juga and so on. So again, I think the government have been talking about this since 2017, even before the current craze about Gen AI. Banyak lah. And also we have been training teachers across Sarawak and at national level on various aspects of AI training lah. Ada banyak initiative And of course at a global level at UNESCO and so on. Ada banyak actually. So there are so many references. Have a look at these references on what is the best practice on using AI in education. EU is usually one step ahead. They have come out with the guideline and what is allowed in classroom for AI and so on. In fact, there are some extreme actually, just to show to you. This one we skip lah. We skip all this thing. The statement from this one. In fact, in certain part of US, they are thinking about age limit to use AI. Why? Because it is proven by research recently as of 3 months ago. What happened to our brain usage when we use AI? So MIT researcher conduct a very simple experiment. 3 group of user. The first user being tasked to find a solution to a given question, but manually. Dia boleh gunakan apa yang dia tahu sahaja. Yang kedua, dibenarkan refer to the internet to find solution. Yang ketiga, dibenarkan gunakan ChatGPT. Now, among the 3 group, obviously, in term of brain activity, yang group pertama tu paling tinggi. Very active brain, because you have to use your brain to find the solution to a given problem without any assistance. The one with the least usage of the brain is the third group, using ChatGPT. Because we surrender our cognitive ability to this AI. We are not thinking. We let the AI think. Of course, we don't see the consequence within 1 or 2 days or 1 or 2 weeks or even 1 or 2 years. But eventually, our brain will shrink. I will imagine badan besar and kepala kecil. Because we don't use our brain that much. Now, the last part of this, the ethics part. The rest you can refer to the slide. We don't have time to discuss everything. Now, the challenges and the ethics. Job losses, yep. We are looking across the board. In fact, the current statistic from WEF, World Economic Forum, 46% of job will be replaced by AI in one form or another. In tech ecosystem, the big giant, Microsoft, Google, even Meta/Facebook, are retrenching people in the 10 of thousand actually. Recently, Microsoft, I think 16,000 job, and they claim related to non-AI. But when people check, it's actually related to AI. Dan banyak lagi lah. In fact, we have our student currently graduating from UNIMAS, from our Faculty of Computer Science, around 300 plus students lah. A bit worrying trend. Some of the top students with CGPA 3.9, 3.8 is facing difficulty to find job. Because most company is in the midst of fine-tuning their human capital requirement and strategy. How many people they need in tech? And can this be replaced by AI, and whether they want to invest in AI? So that's why they put on hold. It's not that there is no job, but they are restructuring their initiative lah. So we are a bit concerned about this. We are trying to do something to equip the student, not just with the technical and knowledge, but also the soft skill, and which is hard to be replaced by AI. So you can read about this. Now, Geoff Hinton, the godfather of AI, one of the pioneers in AI. In this interview, very interesting. He talked about the safety of AI, blah, blah, blah. One of the first questions the interviewer asked him, what is the safest job? And the answer is interesting. Dia cakap, plumber, tukang pipe. Why? Because at the moment, AI cannot do that properly. Not all job that require hand skill cannot be replaced. Ada yang dah. In fact, surgery and heart surgery, I think there was a successful case of heart surgery 100% done by AI and robots a few months ago. And I cannot recall where actually. Is it in the UK or US or even maybe in Malaysia? But when it comes to this, related to hand skill, can electrician, tukang pipe. So maybe TVET is not such a bad idea. Kan? It is expensive. Huh? If you ask someone to come to your house to even change the pipe or cho, it can be in the range of hundreds of ringgit actually. And I can do that, but I don't have to do that. So a few months ago, I asked someone, can you come to the house, the pipe or cho, less than 30 minutes to car pipe, 120 ringgit. Okay. And then after that, I do it myself lah. But that's how it is. So things that require hand skill is probably the safest job at the moment. Hallucination, I'll talk about it. Misuse, yes. I have another talk next week on AI and cybersecurity. So now the usage of AI to create deepfake, we call it. This is the one. True story. A couple from KL, they saw AI video about cable car in Ipoh. If you are in Ipoh, you know Ipoh doesn't have cable car. But this couple, for some reason, believe this AI, go to Ipoh one fine weekend and ask around, where is the cable car? Or direction to the cable car. And the local people say, Ipoh tak ada cable car. Penang ada kan? Then show the video, no, this is AI video. And for that reason, Fahmi Fadil, the Minister for Communication, is stating or stated that there will be soon rules and law about AI generated content. You have to label it by law. So just wait and see lah. And this might happen to us as a human being. A human civilization in the future depicted by this animation, WALL-E, whereby in the future, we don't use our brain that much. We sit down doing nothing because everything done by robot, AI, and so on. Two things will happen to us. Physically, petso lah, and unfortunately, because we don't use our physical body to do work. And the other one is brain capacity. If you see the what do you call it, content being shown, it is kids related content that doesn't require a lot of thinking, and maybe. And I like to compare this to calculators. Calculator take away our kebolehan mengira. And everything now calculator. Google Map take away our skill to navigate. How many of you can still give direction? Let's say from airport to Unimas to someone. And I bet some of you have lost that ability already to give proper direction. And from airport, turn right to go to the city. When you reach the first traffic light, you have an option to go straight or you can turn right. So go straight until you reach the intersection at One City Mega Mall, and you can turn right under the flyover, and so on lah. And I bet 100 ringgit or even 1,000 ringgit that the younger generation cannot give direction without usage of technology. And people compare to this too. And of course, the ability to find information not using internet and so on. But AI is different. AI, apart from taking those ability from us, it takes away our cognitive ability to think. What differentiates us as a human to animals actually? Ability to think. And so point to ponder. Ethical issue, copyright issue, assessment, I think that's one question just now, thinking processes. So our challenge is, depending at which level of education, how to maintain and preserve the ability to think, and training and teaching our students to do exactly that, the fundamentals, and to let them use the technology, because you cannot stop this technology, and that's for sure. Legal copyright issue, and as a conclusion, 343. We are at the juncture point of what AI can do and what is the consequences of AI. And as educator, I think we hold a very important key to the whole puzzle of how AI will shape our future generation. If we don't do it right, then we will definitely affect the future generation. We might not feel it directly. And I always tell people, I probably don't care. I have another 8 years of service. It will affect me to a certain extent, but my job is still safe for the next 10 years, I will say. But that is being very selfish. And what happened to our future generation, to our kids, to our grandchildren, and so on. Again, promotion, you can go to my Instagram, all the AI generated images. TikTok tak banyak sangat. I have another group, but this one probably will be disbanded and deleted very soon because it's not very active. So these are some of my activities to promote AI. Again, if you are interested to contact me, feel free to do so, either through email ataupun WhatsApp. And I wish you all the best in your endeavor as educator. And that's it. Thank you very much. I'll pass back to the moderator, MC, for question and answer.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Dr. Jahari, for that insightful and inspiring session. I think that we can all agree that AI, when used thoughtfully, it can really help us in our daily lives. Not to replace educators or what we do as our work, but to empower us with better tools and to be more creative in engaging with others. So now we will move on to our Q&A session. Feel free to leave a question. So I think the first question that we got is from on how we can ensure that students don't become too dependent on AI tools. And as you said that the educators themselves have to think, how do we ensure that the educators don't depend too much on the AI tool? So what do you have to say about that?
I probably can share about my practice currently when it comes to using AI in my own lecture and classroom. There are two things actually. Usually it's related to assessment. I think the worried part is the assessment part. So the approach is I explain to the student about the needs to learn the fundamentals, and you can use it as in AI as a supplementary tool. And I show them exactly how to do that by examples and so on. So that one is usage. Second one, in terms of assessment, the current assessment whereby you give assignment project to the student and they have to submit a report doesn't work anymore. The best approach at the moment to ensure that they understand what they learn is through presentation. So that's why I switch the marks proportion. Given an assignment, for example, 20 marks, it used to be 15 or 17% report and then 3 or 5% on the presentation. Now I totally switch because report, they can usually use AI to generate the report. Now it's totally, not totally, the big part of the assessment marks is on the presentation. So now it's 17 on presentation, 3 on the report. The challenge with that is scalability. You have 50 students, it's okay, 100 students is okay. Anything more than 100 to assess through presentation, even group presentation, is a time-consuming practice. So we are still struggling to find what is the best way for us to assess students. Whether they use AI, doesn't matter. To us, my main principle, you can use any tools that you want. But if you understand and you can explain and demonstrate you understand about the core knowledge of that particular topic, I'm okay with that. And in the real world, that's how it works. So it is still a trial and error period at this point of time. Every lecturer probably have their own way. We are compiling the best practices across the board throughout UNIMAS. What are the best practices in different domain? And coming up with a training for the educators. So one thing that a lot of people do not know, when it comes to higher education, the lecturers are not trained educators. They are very well versed in their own domain with their PhD and so on, but as educator, not really. So that's why UNIMAS launched a program called Postgraduate Diploma in Teaching and Learning back in 2006, almost 20 years ago, specifically to train new lecturers on how to educate people. And teacher, yes, teacher, you go to the teacher training college or you go to UPSI, get a degree in education, ataupun K, the program last time where you have a degree and you do a diploma in teaching for 1 year, and so on lah. But for us, we are not trained as educator. We have to learn that on our own. So that's my answer actually on how to tackle the challenge of AI for students. So the same technique can be used for schools as well, I believe.
All right. I received another question. How can we as parents or educators control our children from becoming too addicted to online games such as Roblox, and which can
Okay.
easily consume their time and attention, and how AI help us in this effort?
I know this come from the recent incidents. I think 2 days ago, very sad. Life almost lost, and there were other cases as well. This one statement that I think some people will probably not happy to hear. I come from the generation whereby we control access to handphone for my own children. My children only have access to phone when they are in Form 4. Even though their friends and their peers probably get access to phone in Standard 6 or even earlier than that. And I strongly practice whereby no phone on the dinner table, either at home ataupun when we go out. I have to consciously do that. I never pick up my phone when I'm not saying that we are good parents, but that is something that I have been practicing for, I don't know, since I have a kids. And tak pernah pegang phone at dinner table. Ada orang call pun, too bad lah. So that's our approach. A bit conservative, I would say. And when I look at the younger couples, again, I apologize if you fall into this category. If you go out, you go to any eatery, one of the things that you will notice, young children are given access to devices, tablet, phone, and so on, just to keep them quiet during dinner time ataupun makan time lah. Again, I come from the generation where we as a parent take turn to it. We don't enjoy makan telan actually. So one of us have to take care of the child. I have 2 kids. Seorang lagi makan, habis take care, and seorang lagi take turn. And we never use phone on the table to keep them quiet. Memang dia akan menangis lah. Ada sampai bergoleng-goleng atas lantai and so on, but we have to withstand that scenario. And people look at us, are you bad parents or not? How come you let your children menangis? Now, just to relate to that, on top of it, why certain things have age limit? Kenapa merokok at the age of 21, if I'm not mistaken, alcohol age 21, gambling age 21, and many things? Because this falls under addictive substance. And you look at how it works in our brain, addiction comes from a chemical called EDSO. D stand for dopamine, dopamine addiction. So when you do something fun, dopamine is being released in our brain. We feel fun, happy, and so on for a period of time, and then diminish, and we have to repeat again, and the cycle becomes shorter and shorter. Dopamine addiction. So all the thing that I mentioned is falls under dopamine addiction. And the reason why there is age limit, for example, gambling or smoking, because those are addictive. Anything below the allowed limit, we assume that the person doesn't have the ability to make the right decision. Now, it is proven by research that using devices and to access content is addictive. Dopamine is being released. So if you correlate, if using devices and content is addictive, why we allow our child as young as 2 years old to use it? What is the sign of addiction? Take away the handphone, take away the tablet, they cry non-stop. That is a clear sign of addiction. So you have to bite the bullet. And my approach is conservative. You have to limit the access. you have to have access to your phone. There's no such thing as personal matter when they still live with you and below the age of adult. If you need, of course, you have to be diplomatic lah, and you have to notice if something is not right. You notice the behavior changes, and someone talkative become quiet or more reserved. And those are the telltale sign. Again, we are not trained this as a parent, but we can learn about this and noticing about all these things. So they are telltale sign. It points to, I mean, I cannot believe the incidents that happen. There's no prior sign. What I understand from the incidents and from my reading, correct me if I'm wrong, the two sibling, abang dia, the age of 9 years old, play a game and accumulated up to 1 million points. And people assume it is a Roblox. In Roblox, that 1 million point translated into ringgit Malaysia is around 50,000 ringgit. And the younger brother on that day was using the phone, and for some reason, the phone rosak. And all the data for some reason is deleted, and the brother doesn't have access to the account anymore and lost that 1 million point, aka 50,000 ringgit plus. And that's the main reason he is triggered. And this is based on my reading. Kalau salah, I apologize. So there is element in a lot of games, either consciously or subconsciously, can direct our child to that kind of behavior. Because people, I don't play Roblox, but I know for the fact my nieces and nephew play Roblox. And some people claim in order for someone to accumulate 1 million point in Roblox, they cannot imagine how much hours that person have to spend. Dah memang macam robot. That world is the real world, the Roblox world is the real world, and our world is the imaginary world. And, all right, back to you, MC.
All right, seems that we don't have any more questions. And I think that brings us to the end of today's session. Actually, when I saw your PDF that you shared, it's actually packed with a lot of information. So even when I wanted to ask question, I think that I can check back at the PDF that you shared earlier.
Maybe, can I have another 5 minutes?
Sure.
Boleh? Because let me demonstrate a few of the tools that I mentioned. Alang-alang. This one, hopefully you can see. First thing first, Notebook LM. So if you have Google account, you can go to Notebook LM. The link is inside the slide. This is the interface that you will go to, that you can create new notebook. And let me share the one that I have created, this one. Hold on. How to share with audio? Let me try first. Share screen. Share sound. Okay, there is an option to share sound. Okay, let me try again. So there are 6 tools that you can use. I've created the podcast. Let me try to play the podcast. I'm not sure whether this is in BM or BI. You can choose the language actually. Let me try first.
Welcome to the deep dive. So if you've ever felt
Can you hear the sound?
a bit lost in the world of
Boleh
artificial
now? Okay.
intelligence, all those acronyms flying around, AI, ML, DL, Gen AI.
The second approach is thinking humanly. This is more about cognitive science. It means trying to figure out how.
So these two orang putih lah talking to one another, and in what, American English, I guess. Very interesting lah. So it's not a normal lecture kind of talk. It's a conversation between two person. It's a podcast style actually. And the latest version of Notebook LM, you can actually ask question in between. So meaning that you can actually ask them question. Where is that option actually? Audio overview. I'm not sure whether they changed that option or not. I remember you can pause and ask question. You can try that. And then the rest is, of course, this mind map. To me, very useful. I love to learn using mind map. That's my personal preference. And then the flashcard is a way of learning lah. It gives you some point, and then you can click this and see the answer. So it depends on your learning style. So very useful tools, I would say, as educator. I use this extensively for my course at the moment. So this is notebook LM. ChatGPT, of course, siapa yang tak familiar dengan ChatGPT kan? It depends on which version that you have. The free version ke, the plus version, the pro version. I subscribe to the plus version, 20 USD per month. And these are the tools, deep research, create image. The one that I mentioned as the Socratic approach is inside the more study and learn. So if you choose this, whenever you ask question, it gives you step by step, not the final answer. Gemini pun sama juga. Gemini, if you click on the tools, there is something called guided learning. So this is another option for Socratic approach. Gemini now has a very good image generator, the Nano Banana image generator. So that's a very good model actually. Contoh lah, create cartoon illustration of a Malaysian teacher handling preschool students. Faster than the ChatGPT version. ChatGPT, if you look at what I have used it for in terms of image generation, banyak lah actually. And the model is very good. Just that it takes a lot of resources. I mean, in terms of generation, I think one image around maybe 60 seconds. It doesn't feel long, but when you use AI, it seems to be a bit impatient when it comes to generation. And so I use this extensively for my work, idea for slide generation and so on. Not bad, really good actually. And the quality of Nano Banana image, even the free version have access to this, but limited in numbers per day. I cannot recall again what is the limit. Apart from that, ini all from the China side. Kimi, Quen, Zek AI. Some of it come up with new features like AI slide. So this one I haven't tried actually, because one of the questions that I always get, can I create presentation slide? There are a few ways to do that, but not optimal. Either you can create the content, but you have to add more details. But I think this kind of tool probably can do a better job. DeepSeek. This one, okay. Gemini Storybook, also from Google. I've been playing around with this, and my idea is, and this one also very interesting for educators. Let's say you want to create storybook about create a storybook about how rain is formed for student in year 5 Malaysia. Contoh sajalah. Because I'm involved with a lot of STEM awareness on how to increase STEM participation in school. And I guess one of the challenges is how to create content where students can appreciate rather than rote memorizing. And to me, storytelling is one of the best approach lah. So Gemini allow you to create storybook that come both with the image and the audio. And I'm planning to create modules for science for primary school and mathematics, two of the subjects that is always a challenge when it comes to STEM in schools. It takes around 1 or 2 minutes, so we'll come back to this. And this one, image generation from Google called Image Effects. That's another tool actually. So all in all, there are so many tools. You just need to be able to explore. And again, if you're an educator, you have access to the Lima. We have so many tools as well. And so use it to your advantage. So this is the last thing that I want to demonstrate. And after this, I'll pass back to the MC. This one, the free version of Google, 3 storybook per day. The paid version, because I'm subscribing to the Google Pro, I think 20 storybook per day. So more than enough, I would say. So let's see how good is this. Creating the canvas, 1 or 2 minutes. I have previous version actually, but now while waiting for this, if you have any last question, I'll show the output after this, and after that, I'll pass back to the MC. Nurul cakap boleh dengar. Alright. Lama juga ni. Aina and the Sky Water Secret. Okay. So you can play this.
Aina and the Sky Water Secret. Aina loved the sound of rain. The plip-plop on the zinc roof of her house in Kuching was the best music in the world. But as she watched her mother smiled, wiping her hands on her apron. That's a big question, Sayang. I know someone who can explain it better than I can. Let's go see Tak Kenyalang. He's seen more rainy seasons than anyone. They found Tak Kenyalang perched on the sun, this invisible up there, he said. It gets
And so on and so on. But what's interesting, I didn't mention that we are in Kuching. I didn't mention about the storyline. But Gemini knows who I am. Because this is using my account. I think Gemini knows I'm from Sarawak. And create the version of the storybook based on my profile, I guess. Of course, you can control this part by adding more details. And remember the prompt engineering just now. So it's the same thing. But just imagine, you can create this and use it for education purpose. And okay, thank you very much. Back to you.
Okay, I think that we have come to the end of the session. So thank you again to Professor Dr. Johari for sharing this for sharing your expertise, and also to all for joining and engaging in this session. So we hope this session has given you fresh ideas and confidence to use AI effectively and ethically in our learning and working environment. So thank you, everyone. Take care and see you tomorrow. To the ones who have registered for our online talk for program Reading Seats tomorrow. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Tersergam indah megah, menjadi kebanggaan kita, bukti wawasan dicita, maklumat dan pengetahuan, penuh terhimpun harta ilmu untuk kita terokan. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak, wadah ilmu untuk semua, bersama kita manfaatkannya. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak, berteknologi dan berusaha, berkhidmat ikhlas untuk kita. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak. Tersergam indah megah, menjadi kebanggaan kita, bukti wawasan dicita, maklumat dan pengetahuan, penuh terhimpun harta ilmu untuk kita taruhkan. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak, wadah ilmu untuk semua, bersama kita manfaatkannya. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak, teknologi dan berusaha, berkhidmat ikhlas untuk kita. Pustaka Negeri Sarawak.